Hey guys, it's me, Wilson, and we're back for another video on F1 22, and we're here for round 5 of PSGL season 31. We're here for Spa if you haven't already noticed, but before we get into this, let's look at how last week went. Last week it was Miami, and we finished P5 after starting P8, I believe it was. So not a bad start, or not a bad mid-season. The start to this season has been a bit rough. I feel like we've been quite unlucky through a lot of parts during this season. Don't get me wrong, some of our driving hasn't been great, like Austria. I expected to do bad in Austria, but I still think we could have got points. But yeah, things like Austria, that's on us. Same with USA, we made quite a lot of mistakes and we had a lot of potential at that track. But tracks like Bahrain, where we just blatantly got punted off, has damaged us in the standings quite a lot. So I believe heading into this, we are P10 in the standings. Sorry if you can hear me burping. But I believe we're P10 in the standings heading into this. So it's not looking ideal. We could have easily been P6 or so if all went well. But it is what it is. We now focus on this racetrack. If you've never done Belgium in the F1 games, it is notoriously known for having awful curbs, as you can see as we go through here. These curbs are extremely slippery, nowhere like they are in real life, so it makes it very difficult to put a lap together here, as with it being a very long track. So this is a very difficult track in that sense, and then when you add the curbs, it's just even worse. So we've got length and awful curbs. So yeah, you can imagine it's quite a difficult track. Usually you're quite far off your PB at this track, but we'll see what we're like going into Q1 though. The Q1 grip is awful. If you've never done Q1, it is not the nicest thing ever. The grip is just not there, as we will spin out of the final corner actually starting our lap. But going into turn 1, I don't think we're going to show the whole lap, but we'll show a bit of it. Fourth gear, we actually miss our apex, but I believe this is actually quite a good first sector. We're actually running low wings, not the lowest out of everyone, but we're running in the middle, I'd say. From high wings and low wings, we're in about the middle, maybe a little bit more to the low end than in the middle, but definitely not the lowest. But coming up to sector 1, we would ideally want a low 7 split. That would be very good for Q1 for us, and it was a mid to low 7, so very good, as we missed the apex of Le Combe. And yeah, that was not ideal at all. Quite a big mistake there actually. And then coming up to this corner, I don't actually know the name of this corner, but we missed the apex a little bit, but we managed to bring it back in for the exit, and then going through no name now. Just trying to keep a clean lap. We're just trying to send it really, this lap. Keep a good mentality through this lap and just finish it. But coming to the end of the lap now, going through, don't know the name. It's a 4.0 split, which a 14.0 split, excuse me, which is actually pretty good in Q1, especially the start of Q1, which I didn't realise at the time. I thought that was just, you know, your normal Q1 split. I didn't realise that that was actually a pretty good split for Q1. But coming into the last corner, trying to pick our braking point, not go deep. Yanni does a 0.6, that is. Coming out of the final corner, as Tomic does a 0.3 and goes pole. What are we going to do? Up to the line, and it's a 0.150, and you can see I nod my head. And yeah, really happy with that. I think that's the first time I felt comfortable in Q1 in a while. And with that lap, I don't think we're going to have to see ourselves going out again. So very good qualifying from us. As you can see, P4 with only 1 run. Barry was the same, our teammate for McLaren, and then as you can see, that is the top 15. Jarno being knocked out was the biggest shock of this session. Mercedes really up and down at the moment, but I'm sure they don't have any issues at bringing that back. But yeah, first time we've been through to Q2 with 1 run in a while, a very long time, and it wasn't just a scrape, it was a pretty solid lap. Some people didn't even beat it in their second runs, so really happy with that. That was a nice confidence boost heading into Q2, which is needed around this track. This track is all about confidence. You could be the quickest one on outright pace, but if you're not consistent, what's the point? But here we are, coming to the end of our first Q2 lap. This is on fresh tyres, and as you can see, yeah, this has not been a good lap. Statulect does a 0.1 on fresh, I believe, and we do a 0.3, and that is very, very poor. For perspective, that's slower than our first Q1 lap. and by quite a bit, 2/10. So really poor lap. We made a lot of mistakes, but we were going to go out anyway. Whether we done a lap that was good enough or not, we were going to use 2 runs anyway because we may as well. The only issue is this puts a lot of pressure on us now. If we mess this lap up, that's us out of qualifying. So going into turn 1, braking just at the 100-meter board, trying to find that apex. We do miss it slightly, but we kind of get a decent exit, bringing that delta back. And I believe our turn 1 and last lap wasn't actually that bad. Again, not going to show the whole quali lap, but we will show a little bit of it. Going through Upper Rouge, it's actually pretty easy to lose or gain time there if you take the right line, believe it or not. You can still gain 1 or 2 hundredths, which is worth it all. Into Lacombe now, really struggling with this section, especially under braking recently, and then we miss the apex once again, but riding that left hand curb very nicely, which is important, and then taking a lot of inside curb on the right hand side as we come into this next right hander. Very tricky to spot your braking and not lose the rear end, but we do it very nicely. As you can see, the time gain flying up as we go through No Name now. Missed the apex again, but we gained time, showing how bad it was on the previous lap. Through Puon now, flinging it in 7th gear. We missed that apex again as well, and we lose even more time. We're just losing time like it's no tomorrow on this current lap. Through this next corner, riding all of this curb, then through here, riding all of this curb as well. It's looking decent through that section, then through this right hander, just clipping that apex, and we go wide onto the grass. We lose so much time. It's a pi 0.9 split, and we've lost at least a 10th there, maybe even more. Losing a lot of time going in the grass there, and that is not ideal. We now need to have a good last corner. This has been a very messy lap for us. The pressure is on. Can we get a good last corner? It is needed to get us into Q3. Braking at a 100-meter board, down to 3rd gear for stability, flinging it to the left in this bus stop chicane, up to 4th gear to minimise wheel spin, opening the DRS, up to line. What are we going to do? And it's a 0.07, and is that going to be enough to get through to Q3? We're going to have to wait and find out, because that lap was very scruffy, as you all saw, and clicking onto the results screen, it was just enough, a 0.07. I believe the cut-off was a 0.1. You can't see it because my big face cam, but yeah, I mean, you all saw how bad that lap was, and it still managed to get us through to Q3 somehow, and yeah, very happy with that, even with the mistake. But going on to our first Q3 lap now, a 0.8 low split, which is pretty good for our first Q3 lap. We found that the end of Q3 grip was very nice compared to the start of Q3 grip. Coming up to the bus stop chicane now, this is just about completing a lap, getting something on the board so you don't put too much pressure on yourself on the final run. A little bit tight in this bus stop chicane. I was struggling with this chicane quite a lot in practice, and I don't know why. It was just something that I started to overthink quite a lot, and yeah, we definitely lost a 0.7 there, I feel, in that chicane, but it is what it is. Nobody's lap would have been perfect, and yeah, especially ours. But pretty good banker to start on, as Josh Duo goes behind us on old tyres, I believe. But if you just listen in for a quick moment.
Now every time we're gonna, that migrating house is gonna pop.
Why is Yarn not left? What's he doing?
Don't know.
Such an idiot.
Probably got there's a restart, so he's just gonna do race practice now, I think.
Okay, so it's the same for everybody. You guys have already got decent laps in, so just don't let it distract you. Keep it cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going out quite early. And as you can see, we are not happy because the desync is crazy. As you can see, all these cars are on track. They're not actually on track. For me, they're just on track. That's why you can hear the confusion in the background. We are very, very confused, and yeah, it's a shame. I think this is because Yarno left to set up the new lobby as we're doing a restart to get one of the drivers who lagged out in. But yeah, really disappointing. And because of that, going on to our final Q3 run, that Haas behind us, as you can see in the bottom left hand of our screen, and you can see the proximity arrow, Jake Benham, he cannot see us starting our lap. We can see him, but he cannot see us, meaning he can effectively straight line us. He would be fine and we would be dead. But we're going to have to hope he doesn't hit us on our lap as we go through turn 1. And because of this desync, my force feedback also feels very weird. So this is not an ideal start to our final Q3 run. Jake Benham still right behind us. Again, he cannot see us, but we can see him. So this is making life extremely difficult for us, but we need to stay focused. This is crunch time in PSGL Q3, where it all matters. Coming up to Lacombe now, we have to focus. We have to put our full effort into this. Braking at the 50-meter board, down to 4th gear, up to 5th. We finally find that apex in qualifying at the right time. Do this right-hander. A little bit tentative in exit because we need to get a lap in now. Through this next right-hander, bringing it in pretty nicely, a little bit wide mid-corner, but we still managed to keep good minimum apex speed. Through No Name, we clip that pretty well, but we lose a little bit of time there, about 7 to 600s there, just not carrying enough speed. And then through Puon, we actually find the apex again through this corner, very wide though, and we lost a little bit of time on that, only 700s up on our midpoint 8. Now coming into this right-left sequence, we take a lot of inside curb, same for this left-hander, shifting up to 6th gear, and then using all the exit on the right-hand side. Do this right-hander, 5th gear, keeping it in track limits, and then just over a 10th up, just under now. It's a 7-0 split, which is not great. We ideally want to be a low 6 split at least, but we're just going to have to deal with it now. We lost a little bit of time in the chicane on our previous lap, so let's see if we can gain anything going through here. Coming up to bus stop now, the pressure is on, one final corner to go, braking just after the 100-meter board, down to 3rd gear, hitting this nicely, setting up the exit for the next part, short shifting up to 4th gear, opening the DRS. We do gain about 2 to 300s, and it's a mid-point 7, which is not actually P2. We don't know what time it actually is for now, and we go to the results screen, and it's P4, and that's a 7-4. As you can see, Barry and Lucas topping out the front row. Very good laps from them too. Danny Bresney, the king of Spa. He's always been a very quick driver at Spa. He's in P3. Myself in P4. Tomic 5th. Brendan Lee 6th. Simon 7th. Jake 8th. Marcel 9th. And Josh 10th. So pretty good quali. That's matching our best qualifying of the season at Bahrain. A little bit annoying because we messed up at least P3. I think there's no way we're getting P1 or 2, but we definitely bottled P3, I feel. I'm sure a lot of people made mistakes, but yeah, I think we lost a lot, especially at turn 1 and the middle sector, where we just missed that apex. So these things happen, it is what it is. But now we are on to the race, and there was a glitch before the race where we couldn't do formation lap, pretty much because we would get reset to cold tyres, but the host would have warm tyres. So the solution we had for this glitch was we were just going to use no formation lap, and we were all going to start on 70-degree tyres. And if you don't know about the F1 game, 70-degree tyres is extremely cold. This is like driving on literal ice. It's not far from driving slicks on wet, let me tell you. So this brought us into mind that people are going to probably start in the softs, as they're going to have quick tyre warm-up. But we thought we'll just continue onto the hards, but we were expecting people to start on a softer compound of tyre, just because the warm-up is so much better at this track if you start on a softer compound, especially if we're starting at 70-degree tyre temp. But we are starting on the hard tyre. You can't see yet as I covered my screen because I was changing my setup. But yeah, as you can see, we are starting on the hard compounded tyre. When the lights go out, you will see a lot of a few medium and soft tyres. We might see them come the end of the start of this stint. But yeah, no formation lap. It's just going to be, as soon as that timer goes, the lights are going to come on, and that is going to be it. This is a very odd scenario we are in. We do not have a lot of grip on this rear tyre. We're going to be very limited on the rear tyre, let's say. So yeah, let's see what happens starting this race. The grip's going to be pretty poor, especially up Eau Rouge, but nevertheless, we've got 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and away we go. It's a very quick lights out, and you can see so tentative on the throttle. Going into turn 1, we don't want to brake too late, as we know we don't have a lot of grip. Lots of proximity arrows flying down the inside. We try and put it around the outside of Danny Bresney, but I think better of it. I think we may as well just keep P4. We could have easily lost our wing there, so we need to take it for granted. Then going up turn 1, or Eau Rouge even, very difficult to keep it flat. You can see Danny Bresnay cuts Eau Rouge, just struggling for grip. Marcel Kiefer on this soft tyre, I believe he started P9, already up to P4, just showing how crucial the tyre warm-up is. People weaving in the straights as we let Marcel by. No point in fighting him. His grip is going to be immense compared to us. We now have Brendan Lee behind us. We all know Brendan Lee can be quite an aggressive driver, so I thought we need to keep this man behind. We cannot let him get ahead as Marcel Kiefer storms through the field. Everyone pretty much just letting him by. There's no point in fighting him. We can make it difficult for him, but not too difficult, as we're going to gain on him at the end of the race anyway when he straps on his hard tyres and we've got medium set. At least that's what we believed he would be doing. Josh Aduwa though on P7, and P7 even, he's on the soft compound tyre and we need to watch out for him. My plan was to try and keep him behind us. Jake Benham actually overtakes Josh on the soft compound tyre, so Jake Benham doing very well. He's on the medium tyre, and this is what we're saying. We were expecting people to start on the softer tyre as we nearly fall out of a DRS range of Danny Bresnay. This first train very quick right now. They were pushing very hard as Brendan Lee still sitting pretty close and snug behind us, but we just want to keep within that 1 second gap from Danny Bresnay. Lots of people using the ERS. We're having to use a lot of our ERS to stay within this gap, and bus stop, hopefully it will become a little bit closer. But you can see behind me lots of people fighting, including Jake and Josh, and I think it's going to be the same scenario unless we feel we've got the pace over Jake Benham, which I don't think we will. We're probably just going to let him by as we go extremely deep. One of my issues as well in practice is I just could not make that apex for some reason. But yeah, Jake Benham 2 tenths behind, and it's looking like we're going to have to let him by unless we want to drain our whole battery. There is really no point in fighting this, so we're just going to let him by. We're going to let him sail right past us. There's no point in fighting this. Just, yeah, no point, as we're heading. I don't know what that was there. I can remember doing that in the race. I dazed out for a minute. But yeah, he passes us. Next up is Josh Aduwa behind us, and this is what the guy I was trying to keep behind us. You can see the gap is 2 tenths going into this next corner, and I'm just trying to keep him behind me. I do not want Josh overtaking me, as I know those softs aren't going to be the greatest in the next 2 laps. So I'm using a lot of ERS to keep him behind me, and I believe this was the right decision, because if he got ahead of us and lost DRS to the cars ahead, then we are out of DRS and it ruins us completely. Moving on to the end of lap 3 nearly, and Josh still 3 tenths behind, sitting pretty closely. We're just right behind Danny Bresnay. Josh does have a 3-second penalty, but it could be an instant penalty. But you can see he's falling back now. It doesn't look like he's trying to go for a move, and I think we are safe of any more soft runners now, which is very nice. We do not need to worry about them. Now we can just focus ahead. Jake Benham and Marcel Kiefer, though, I believe we will end up getting them at the end of this race. But nevertheless, coming to the end of lap 9, you can see Brendan Lee, he is using a lot of ERS, and at this point, I don't know if you'll hear me say it because I'm speaking over, but I say Brendan is going to pit, and you can tell Brendan's going to pit because he just starts blasting his ERS, and that is usually a telltale sign that somebody's going to pit. So let's see if Brendan does pit. Jake pits onto the mediums to go to the hards, and Brendan pits. So our assumption was right. I knew he was going to be pitting, but we do not have a lot of ERS to defend this undercut. And in hindsight, I was kind of wishing we did pit on that lap. But
Brendan and Jake.
Yeah, these things happen. It is what it is. There's not much you can really do about it. But Tomic is out of DRS now, which is a good thing. That's just one other car out of the equation. We're going to have DRS and gain so much on this straight compared to him, but now it's just trying to minimise that undercut Brendan Lee's going to have. He's going to come out in cold medium tyres, but halfway through that lap his tyres are going to heat up very nicely, and he's definitely going to be quicker than our old hard tyres. But yeah, the gap to Simon and Tomic now 2 seconds, so we've extended that gap even more. But this is our pit lap. We're going to be boxing this lap for a fresh set of medium tyres, taking them to the end of the race, and this is where it gets exciting. This is where once the pit stops are out the way, there's not really much you can do apart from overtake, as Danny Bresnay actually goes 1 lap longer, which I was pretty surprised by. Yeah. I thought he would have just pit with us, but we come into the pits. We brake slightly early just because we don't want to speed, but better safe than sorry. Coming to the pit stops, let's hope we can get an optimal pit stop, as we do. Very nice. Strapping on the medium set of tyres. Lucas Blakely came in with us as well. I believe he was leading the race, or it was Barry.
Lucas thinks
But coming out of the pits, let's see where Brendan and Jake, those were the people round about us. Brendan behind us, Jake in front of us. Let's see where we come out compared to them. We come at the pits, Brendan Lee has actually undercut us, and Jake Benham, we've actually overcut Jake, and that's due to his tyres being so cold. We've overcut him. We're using a lot of ERS right now to make sure Jake doesn't pass us. And yeah, very nicely done. The only issue is now is we've lost track position to Brendan. I knew the undercut was big, but I didn't think it was that big, and that is a big overcut from Brendan Lee. That is, yeah, very large, and I was quite angry with that. I feel like we should have pit lap 9 in hindsight, but hindsight's always a beautiful thing. But as we move on to lap 12, Danny Bresney made his pit stop, and he's in the same situation as we were. He has very cold tyres now, so this is our time to pounce on Danny Bresney while his tyres are cold. So this is our only really possible chances of the race, as he does have fresher tyres than us. So going into Lacombe, we're really going to push his we're going to really try and pressure him going through this section, and you can see he's really struggling for grip, even using all the track and still not being able to be quicker than us. We're going to go round the outside of this next right-hander. Can we pull it off? He's going to squeeze us a tiny bit onto this curb, but we make the move stick, and that was a really nice move, a pretty crucial move as well, as we would have been close to falling out of the DRS of Brendan Lee if we didn't make that move. And yeah, very nicely done from us there as we fly through Puon, and very crucial move indeed. But the issue is we don't have a lot of ERS now, and Danny Bresney is looking very quick, especially in the first stint. He looked quick, and I was aware of this, and he is going to have fresher medium tyres than us. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty tough race for us to keep him behind. We want to get Brendan Lee before Danny Bresney overtakes us, but again, our ERS situation is going to make it very difficult to do really anything this race, and that's all because of the first stint. We struggled a little bit in the first 2 laps with tyre warm-up compared to everyone else. I don't know why that was. Maybe it's because we didn't weave in the straight, but yeah, that's just how it was. That's how things are. Maybe it's something to take into next race if this glitch is still a thing, but these things happen. Moving on to lap 14 though, Danny Bresney still hasn't overtaken us, but he does have a penalty, which I believe was an instant warning. So yeah, or instant penalty. So I think that is going to get removed as we go through Lacombe. Nothing really happening, nothing too exciting happening as you go through this next corner, and Barry Burmand is actually spun out from the lead of the race, and that is a pretty big moment in PSGL, as he is our championship leader. So yeah, nobody expected that. You don't really see mistakes like that, especially from a top driver like Barry. But these things happen. These are so easy to do. I don't think anyone should judge him or judge any driver for that fact who makes mistakes like that, as it's very easy to do, especially with the pressure we're under. But nevertheless, we go on to lap 15, and we've got Marcel Kiefer ahead of us. If you remember from the start of the race, he actually started on a soft compound tyre, and now he is in an old hard set, and it's coming back to bite him. This is what I was saying about we're going to catch these guys at the end of the race, but the issue is now these front runners ahead of us have broken DRS, so we have to get Marcel Kiefer, and I knew what Danny Bresney was setting up. He was going to try and get me and Marcel Kiefer in one straight, and I knew I didn't have a lot of ERS, so I had to use everything I could. Still using the ERS, even though we're flashing, we're below 10%, opening the DRS right behind Marcel Kiefer, trying to get the biggest toll we can to defend from Danny Bresney. Danny Bresney is going to go for a move. We're trying to defend. He still tries to find the inside. We dart to the left hand side and still find the apex, cutting him off, and a good move. Well done. Next up is Jarno, and he's in the same situation as Marcel Kiefer, I believe, but he's not actually pit, but he ended up pitting anyway. But we move on to lap 22. Nothing really happened after that. Danny Bresney flew by us in a pretty normal overtake, and yeah, we just couldn't get Brendan. I feel like one more lap and we could have gotten. By this point we saved about 30% ERS. We started being able to save, our pace started to come into it. Barry Burmand made a great recovery to P5. He was after that spin, I think he was P10 or P9, so really good recovery, especially since he had rear wing damage. So very good, but we're going to try and get Brendan Lee nevertheless. We've got a lot more ERS than him, 1 lap fresher tyres, so I can really feel it going into this bus stop game. We're gaining a lot in the slipstream and the overtake button. Can we send a move down the inside? We're going to have a look, but Brendan Lee goes semi-defensive, and there's going to be nothing made of it. He outbreaks himself a little bit, but I think that's just to make sure we don't make a move on him, and that is the end of the race. We get P3 after penalties, but I believe it's going to be P4 because Danny Bresney's penalty was a triple warning, which is pretty much an unfair penalty. So yeah, P4 it looks like, which is not a bad result at all. I'm pretty happy with that, considering if we can just stay consistently doing results like this, I'm happy. If we can be top 5s every week, I am not complaining, as I feel like we've deserved a few top 5s and it's just not went our way. But yeah, very happy with how the race went. Just the start of the race, which I think it cost us long term, which I didn't think it would, but it did. And that's really all I have to say. If you're still watching though, I do want to thank you all for the recent support. Recent support has been really good, especially in my Insta DMs, Twitter DMs, Twitch chat. Not so much the YouTube, but my YouTube's dead. But yeah, honestly, I see the support. I do really appreciate it. I try and appreciate it as much as I can, but if it doesn't seem that way, I do 100% appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. You guys are amazing. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Another good race for us. Hopefully we're at least top 8 in the standings now after that race, as we try and climb our way back up after a tough start to the season. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you aren't already. Comment if you've got any questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one at Mexico. Bye.